Yeah.
And speaking of no free lunch.
Oh yeah, good segue.
Yeah.
The story I was covering today is a little bit more pedestrian than Matt's story. It's not as brainy.
Clever, I have to say clever.
Well, clever. Probably not unexpected. If you're a bad guy, this is a great idea. So a lot of people have probably observed certain websites that they go to and they try to view the source, that it's obfuscated. A lot of people, when they develop their own code for their website, they want to protect it from people just viewing the source, taking it, using it for their own purposes, especially JavaScript and whatnot. So there's a lot of code obfuscation services out there, programs that'll obfuscate your JavaScript or even your page in JavaScript so that it renders. If you go look at it, it's just a jumble of JavaScript. You can't really understand it. It's a lot of obfuscated code paths, very hard to follow. But JavaScript knows what to do. When it reads it, executes, it can unpack it and render it properly in your browser. Similar probably in a way to, Java uses a, it's not an obfuscator, but it packs it so that it's not easily readable. It's not like a text kind of thing. In any event, somebody out there figured out a way, or thought about it and said, well, why don't we offer some free code obfuscators? And people can obfuscate their code, but when they do that, we're going to bundle in a little extra something in there. So the problem is when you do that, and you take all of your code that's easily readable, you obfuscate it through this tool, now you get back this jumbled mess that you have no idea what it's really doing.
It's not exactly open source anymore, is it?
No.
It's not even open to you. Your own code.
Yeah, your own code is not even readable anymore.
Right.
But you could take that, put it, on your website. If a browser hits it, it gets all deobfuscated, rendered in the browser. But even if you do a view source, you're just going to see the jumbled mess.
Yeah.
So, what they were able to determine is some bad actors out there have been, when they go to obfuscate your code, they slip a little bit of their own stuff in there that's going to inject ads or spam or other pop-ups along the way. So now, when your visitors visit your website, they're getting your website, but also another little nugget down there that's getting, pushing spam and whatnot to your
now,
to
as a
your
website
browser.
developer, I guess there's the opportunity to find this out while you're doing testing, but otherwise you're dependent on somebody actually complaining about it or something along those lines, right?
The other interesting aspect is they did some examination of, well, how much of this bad obfuscated code is out there that's injecting this bad stuff into the pages, and they noticed that there's at least a few people who write like plugins for WordPress, which is a common thing. So I've got a WordPress plugin that I wrote. I want to protect it. I want to be able to sell it. Maybe I charge people $5 or something for it to deploy it onto their WordPress website. So I don't want them to just be able to read it and just dump it themselves or make modifications to it. So there are a few of those out there where these plugins are being distributed with this obfuscated, they've been obfuscated, but the developer who developed it doesn't know that there's this bad injection that's been stuck in there. So something to be aware of, not only in your own code when you try to use these obfuscations, but if you use some of these content management systems like WordPress and you're pulling in plugins from other places, you might want to make sure that this plugin is trustable. Because even though the person who wrote it might be trustable, he might have tried to obfuscate his code so that you can't see it to protect himself, but he didn't know that he was getting had by some of these guys that are, doing this bad activity with their obfuscations.
It sounds like a point where apparently they didn't even have a desire to be transparent about what they were trying to do. It is, ultimately, it comes right down to that discussion about there is no free lunch here. I mean, these folks, they're trying to provide a service, they're trying to earn some money as a part of their service. The question is, are they letting you know that they're earning money as a part of their service, through whatever means and how they and how they're conveying that to you? But,
Right.
It's I guess ultimately it's if you get something for free, you should be paying some attention to what the motivation is behind these folks. There really is no free lunch. They've spent time and effort putting together these things or providing a service. They have to pay for it somehow. They have to feed their families, perhaps. But again, it becomes a matter of transparency. Did it say in the fine print, perhaps, that they were going to be sticking those ads in there?
Right. And who reads the fine print? When they give you like 80 pages.
There's an awful lot of fine print going on these days. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. So.